While many believe that wealth depends solely on earning more, the truth is quite different. It doesn't matter if your salary is high or low. What truly defines your financial future is how you handle the money you already have. And that's where most people make a quiet mistake, repeated generation after generation, that drains their chances of thriving. Very few people know that there is a simple principle, quietly used by millionaires for decades, that can multiply your wealth even without increasing your earnings. This is not a get-rich-quick trick or some magical inheritance. It's a solid strategy that turns common habits into extraordinary results. If you want to understand how the wealthiest protect and grow their fortunes while most remain trapped in debt and worries, this video is your turning point. Hit play and discover the foundation that can completely redefine your financial life. Here's something most people never realize about truly wealthy individuals. They don't wake up thinking about money the same way everyone else does. While the average person sees $1 and immediately thinks about what they can buy with it, rich people see that same dollar as a seed that could grow into a tree. They've trained their minds to think in terms of multiplication, not subtraction. It's like they're playing an entirely different game with the same pieces everyone else has access to. Take someone like Warren Buffett, who still clips coupons and drives a modest car, not because he's cheap, but because he understands that every unnecessary expense is wealth that could have been working for him instead. Rich people have this almost obsessive habit of asking themselves, will this purchase move me closer to or further from my financial goals? They've rewired their brains to find genuine pleasure in watching their money grow rather than in the temporary high of spending it. This shift in perspective isn't just about being frugal. It's about recognizing that true security comes from building assets, not accumulating stuff. The most fascinating part is how wealthy people view failure and setbacks. Instead of seeing a financial loss as a disaster, they treat it like expensive education, painful but valuable. They understand that building wealth isn't a straight line upward. It's more like climbing a mountain with plenty of rocky terrain along the way. This mental resilience allows them to take calculated risks that others would shy away from, because they know that the biggest risk of all is playing it too safe and never building the momentum needed to compound their money over time. Most people think budgeting is about restricting themselves, but wealthy individuals see it as the ultimate freedom tool, a way to tell their money exactly where to go instead of wondering where it went. The 50-30-20 rule that millionaires quietly follow is surprisingly simple. 50% of after-tax income goes to needs like housing and groceries, 30% goes to wants like dining out and entertainment, and 20% goes directly to savings and investments. It's not about living like a monk. It's about being intentional with every dollar so that money can start working as hard for you as you work for it. Here's where most people mess up this formula. They treat the wants category like a suggestion rather than a strict boundary. Rich people stick to their 30% entertainment budget religiously, even when they could afford to spend more, because they understand that lifestyle inflation is the silent killer of wealth building. They'd rather live slightly below their means today so they can live well above their means tomorrow. When someone earning $5,000 monthly follows this rule consistently, they're automatically saving and investing $1,000 every month, which compounds into serious wealth over time. The brilliant thing about this system is how it scales with income increases. When wealthy people get a raise or bonus, they don't immediately upgrade their lifestyle. They maintain the same percentages, which means more money automatically flows into their wealth-building bucket. A person making $3,000 monthly saves $600, but when they earn $6,000, they're now saving $1,200 without having to think about it. This disciplined approach is why people who earn modest salaries can sometimes accumulate more wealth than high earners who spend everything they make. The difference between people who successfully build wealth and those who struggle isn't willpower, it's automation. Rich people have learned that relying on discipline alone is like trying to diet while keeping ice cream in the freezer. Eventually, temptation wins. Instead, they set up their financial lives so that money moves automatically from their checking account to savings, investments, and bill payments before they even have a chance to spend it. It's like putting their wealth building on cruise control, where good financial decisions happen whether they're motivated that day or not. Here's exactly how this works in practice. Wealthy individuals set up automatic transfers on payday. Maybe $500 goes to their emergency fund, $800 to their investment account, and $300 to a vacation fund. They treat these transfers like non-negotiable bills that must be paid first, before any discretionary spending happens. This way, they're paying themselves before they pay anyone else, and their wealth grows consistently regardless of their mood, energy level, or current financial confidence. The beauty is that after a few months, they don't even notice the money is gone because they've adjusted their spending to what's left over. The psychological advantage of automation can't be overstated. It removes the daily mental burden of making good financial choices. Instead of wrestling with whether to invest or spend that extra $200 every month, the decision is already made and executed automatically. Rich people understand that their future selves will thank them for removing the temptation entirely, because even the most disciplined person has weak moments. When everything runs on autopilot, building wealth becomes as effortless as breathing, and that consistency is what separates those who talk about financial goals from those who actually achieve them. Wealthy people treat debt like a house fire, something that needs to be extinguished immediately before it spreads and destroys everything they've worked to build. They understand that every dollar spent on interest payments is a dollar that can't be invested to generate wealth, which is why they attack high-interest debt with laser focus. Instead of making minimum payments that barely touch the principal, rich people use strategies like the debt avalanche method, where they pay minimums on all debts but throw every extra penny at the highest interest rate debt first. This mathematical approach saves them thousands in interest and frees up money faster for wealth-building activities. Here's a real example of how this works. Imagine someone with a $5,000 credit card at 18% interest and a $10,000 car loan at 4% interest. Most people would split extra payments between both debts, but wealthy individuals would aggressively pay off that credit card first, even though it's the smaller balance. That 18% interest rate is essentially guaranteed to eat away at their wealth faster than almost any investment could grow it. Once that high-interest debt disappears, they take that monthly payment and redirect it toward the next highest-rate debt, creating a snowball effect that accelerates over time. The mindset shift here is crucial. Wealthy people see debt payments not as monthly obligations, but as emergencies that demand immediate attention. They'll temporarily sacrifice luxuries, take on side work, or sell items they don't need to eliminate debt as quickly as possible. This isn't about living in deprivation forever. It's about recognizing that every month spent in debt is a month their money isn't working for them instead of against them. Once they're debt-free, all that money they were sending to creditors can now flow directly into investments that actually build their wealth rather than someone else's. The investing world loves to make wealth building sound complicated, but rich people have discovered that the simplest strategies often produce the best results. While everyone else is chasing hot stock tips and trying to time the market, wealthy individuals quietly invest in low-cost index funds that track the overall market performance. They understand that consistently investing in something like the S&P 500, which has averaged about 10% annual returns over the long term, beats trying to pick individual winners about 90% of the time. It's not glamorous, but it works, and that's all that matters when you're building real wealth. Here's the strategy that has made countless people rich. They invest a fixed amount every month into broad market index funds, regardless of whether the market is up or down that day. This approach, called dollar-cost averaging, means they buy more shares when prices are low and fewer when prices are high, naturally smoothing out market volatility over time. Warren Buffett himself has said that a low-cost S&P 500 index fund is the best investment for most people, and he's put his money where his mouth is by betting $1 million that index funds would outperform actively managed hedge funds over a 10-year period, and he won. The beautiful thing about this approach is that it removes emotion from investing entirely. Rich people don't panic and sell when the market drops, and they don't get greedy and buy more when it's soaring. They just keep investing the same amount month after month, year after year. They've learned that time in the market beats timing the market every single time. While others are losing sleep over daily market fluctuations, wealthy individuals are sleeping soundly knowing that their diversified investments are working quietly in the background, compounding their money into serious wealth over the decades. There's an uncomfortable truth that wealthy people learned long ago. Relying on a single paycheck is like building a house on one pillar. It might hold for a while, but it's dangerously unstable. Rich individuals understand that true financial security comes from having money flowing in from multiple directions, so if one stream dries up, the others keep them afloat. They don't just work for money, they make money work for them through rental properties, dividend-paying stocks, side businesses, and passive income investments. It's not about working more hours, it's about working smarter by creating systems that generate income even while they sleep. The progression usually starts small, but builds momentum over time. Someone might begin by freelancing their skills on weekends, earning an extra $500 monthly, then use that money to invest in dividend stocks that pay them quarterly. As those investments grow, they might purchase a rental property that generates monthly cash flow, or start an online business selling digital products. Each new income stream doesn't just add to their wealth, it multiplies their options and reduces their dependence on any single source. This is why wealthy people rarely panic about job security. They've built financial fortresses with multiple revenue streams protecting them. The key insight here is that rich people treat their spare time differently than most people do. Instead of binge-watching shows or scrolling social media, they're often building something that will pay them repeatedly for work they do once. They might create an online course, write a book, build a YouTube channel, or develop an app, all activities that can generate income for years after the initial effort. This isn't about grinding 24/7, it's about strategically investing time upfront to create assets that produce ongoing returns. While others trade time for money in a linear fashion, wealthy individuals create systems where their money and efforts compound and multiply across multiple channels. Wealthy people have a saying, "It's not what you make, it's what you keep," and they've mastered the art of legally minimizing their tax burden through strategies most people never even know exist. While the average person simply accepts whatever tax bill they're handed, rich individuals work with accountants and financial advisors to structure their finances in ways that take advantage of every legal deduction and credit available. They contribute the maximum to tax-advantaged accounts like 401(k)s and IRAs, understanding that reducing taxable income today means more money stays in their pockets to compound and grow over time. Here's where it gets really interesting. Wealthy individuals often structure their investments to favor long-term capital gains over ordinary income, since long-term gains are taxed at much lower rates, sometimes as low as 0% for people in lower tax brackets. They hold investments for at least a year and a day to qualify for these preferential rates, turning what could be a 22% tax hit into a 15% or even 0% tax bill. They also use strategies like tax loss harvesting, where they sell losing investments to offset gains from winning ones, essentially using their losses to reduce their overall tax liability. It's like getting a discount on taxes just for being strategic about when and how they buy and sell. Business ownership opens up an entire universe of tax advantages that wealthy people leverage relentlessly. They deduct home office expenses, business meals, travel costs, and equipment purchases, all perfectly legal ways to reduce taxable income while building their wealth. Even something as simple as starting a small side business allows them to deduct expenses that regular employees can't touch. Rich people understand that every dollar saved on taxes is a dollar that can be invested to generate even more wealth, which is why they treat tax planning not as an annual chore, but as an ongoing wealth-building strategy that compounds their money faster than they ever could through income alone. Rich people understand that an emergency fund isn't just about surviving unexpected expenses. It's about maintaining their wealth-building momentum when life inevitably throws curveballs their way. While most financial experts suggest 3-6 months of expenses in an emergency fund, wealthy individuals often keep even more because they know that having cash available means they never have to derail their investment plans or go into debt when the car breaks down or medical bills arrive. They treat this fund like insurance for their financial future, protecting all the progress they've made from being wiped out by a single unexpected event. The psychology behind emergency funds is just as important as the math. When you know you have 6 months of expenses sitting safely in a high-yield savings account, you sleep better at night and make better financial decisions during the day. Rich people use this peace of mind to take calculated risks with their investments that others might be too scared to attempt. They can weather market downturns without panic selling their stocks, and they can negotiate from a position of strength in their careers because they're not desperately dependent on their next paycheck. This financial cushion gives them the confidence to pursue opportunities that could significantly increase their wealth. Here's the strategy that works. Wealthy individuals build their emergency fund first, before they start investing heavily, because they understand that this foundation makes everything else possible. They typically keep this money in a separate high-yield savings account that earns around 4–5% interest, not enough to beat inflation long-term, but enough to grow modestly while remaining completely accessible. The key is treating this fund as sacred money that only gets touched for true emergencies, not for vacations or impulse purchases. Once it's fully funded, every extra dollar can flow confidently into higher return investments, knowing that their financial fortress has a solid foundation that can't be easily shaken. The final secret that separates temporarily wealthy people from generationally rich families is their obsession with preserving and protecting what they've built. While many people focus solely on accumulating money, wealthy individuals spend equal energy on strategies that ensure their wealth survives market crashes, economic downturns, and even their own mortality. They diversify not just their investments, but their entire financial ecosystem, spreading money across different asset classes, geographic regions, and even currencies to protect against any single point of failure. This isn't paranoia, it's the disciplined approach that keeps rich families rich for decades or even centuries. Estate planning becomes a top priority long before wealthy people reach old age, because they understand that taxes and poor planning can destroy a lifetime of wealth building in a single generation. They work with attorneys to set up trusts, establish clear inheritance plans, and structure their assets in ways that minimize tax burdens for their heirs. They also invest heavily in financial education for their children, teaching them the same principles that created the family wealth in the first place. Rich families stay rich because they treat wealth preservation as seriously as they treated wealth creation, ensuring that the next generation doesn't squander what took decades to build. The most sophisticated wealthy individuals also build what experts call generational wealth, assets and systems that continue producing income long after they're gone. This might include profitable businesses that run without their direct involvement, real estate portfolios that generate consistent rental income, or investment accounts large enough that their heirs can live comfortably off the returns without ever touching the principal. They understand that true wealth isn't just about having enough money for themselves. It's about creating financial security that extends far beyond their own lifetime. This long-term perspective is what transforms ordinary millionaires into family dynasties that maintain their wealth and influence for generations to come. Now you have the complete blueprint that millionaires have been quietly using for generations, the same principles that have created more wealth than any get-rich-quick scheme ever could. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Knowing these strategies and actually implementing them are two completely different things. Most people will watch this video, feel inspired for a few days, and then go right back to their old financial habits that keep them trapped in the same cycle of living paycheck to paycheck. So let me ask you something that might change everything. What's your excuse going to be a year from now when you're in the exact same financial position you're in today? Will you blame your salary, your circumstances, or your bad luck? Or will you admit that you had access to the same wealth-building secrets that millionaires use, but you chose not to act on them? The difference between people who build lasting wealth and those who don't isn't intelligence, luck, or even starting capital. It's the willingness to take these proven principles and actually apply them, starting today. Your financial future is being written right now, with every decision you make about money. You can either keep doing what you've always done and get the same results you've always gotten, or you can choose this moment as the turning point where everything changes. The wealthy people who use these strategies didn't wait for perfect conditions or more money to get started. They began exactly where they were, with exactly what they had, and built their empires one smart decision at a time. If you're serious about transforming your financial life and joining the ranks of people who truly understand how money works, then make sure to subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell. Every week, we dive deeper into the advanced strategies, mindset shifts, and practical steps that separate the financially successful from everyone else. Don't let this be just another video you watched. Make it the beginning of the wealth-building journey that changes everything for you and your family forever. There's this incredible story about two friends, Sarah and Mike, that perfectly illustrates why wealthy people obsess over starting early. Sarah began investing just $200 a month at age 25, while Mike waited until 35 to start investing $400 monthly, double Sarah's amount. By the time they both reached 65, Sarah had accumulated over $1.2 million, while Mike, despite investing twice as much each month, only reached $800,000. The 10-year head start gave Sarah an extra $400,000, and that's the magic of compound interest working its quiet miracles behind the scenes. Rich people understand that time is their most powerful ally when it comes to building wealth. They know that compound interest doesn't just add money to their accounts, it multiplies it exponentially, like a snowball rolling down a hill that gets bigger and faster with every turn. Einstein allegedly called compound interest the eighth wonder of the world, and wealthy individuals live by this principle every single day. They start investing immediately, even if it's just spare change, because they recognize that every month they delay is money they're essentially throwing away forever. The really eye-opening part is how compound interest works in reverse when you're paying debt instead of earning it. Credit card companies love when people make minimum payments because they're essentially paying compound interest in the wrong direction, making the rich richer while keeping themselves trapped in financial quicksand. Smart money managers flip this script entirely by becoming the ones earning compound interest rather than paying it. They understand that the earlier you start, the less you actually have to contribute from your own pocket, because time does most of the heavy lifting for you.